All right. Hey, what's up, guys? Jonathan here. With me, as always, is Isaac. Welcome to another episode of Yellowhammer Rival Sports. How's it going, Isaac?
It's going good. I'm glad to be back for yet another week of college football.
Yep, we've made it. We're doing it every week.
We're
It's
doing
awesome. Yep, we make it work. All right, so let's just jump into the games this weekend. We
All
had
right.
some really good games. Where do you want to start?
Texas A&M, Arkansas. Texas A&M wins that game 31-27. Arkansas actually pushed for the lead very late in that game and ended up turning the ball over on downs, and so it was a failed attempt at taking that game. But Arkansas came very, very close to upsetting Texas A&M.
Yeah, they played a really good game, and they were in it the whole time too,
Yeah.
which is good for them and hopes for our Piggy fans
Mhm.
out there that the future is heading in the right direction at least
Yeah.
now, because it seemed really bleak last few weeks.
Yeah, the thing that I want to kind of bring up about this game is that we see the continued where is Kellen Mond? And, you say, okay, obviously against an Arkansas defense, it isn't that good. But Kellen Mond put up 23 for 35, 251 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. So Kellen Mond, obviously, he didn't have a bad game.
Right.
But at the same time, it's just that there's something about him that it's like against Arkansas, like he had a better game. There's something about Kellen Mond that I'm just not seeing that's clicked for him to make that full eclipse, because at the beginning of the season, I mean, he said he was the best quarterback in the SEC, and
Yeah.
I don't see it.
I mean, you want to have that confidence out of your starting quarterback.
Yeah.
You want him to come out and say stuff, but yeah, that's what I said for last year. So I'm just not sold on him.
Mhm.
He shows his flash of potential, and you can see exactly why people expect him to turn it around, but
Yeah.
he's just not. And at one point, does Texas A&M and Jimbo Fisher in particular say, you know what, this season might be over. Let's try to get to a bowl game, but who's our future?
Yeah.
This might be that time for
And-
Texas A&M
and-
because it's not like they've not played some really tough
Mhm.
teams, but we
I
made a joke
agree.
last week. This might be the best team that doesn't make a bowl.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And the fact that they played like this against Arkansas, like they're cruising for an upset. But
Right.
the thing that worries me the most about Texas A&M going into the future, obviously they lost their starting running back early in the season. So now their running production has dipped severely. Their leading rusher had 9 carries for 38 yards. I'm not going to try and say his first name. His last name is Kabodi.
Yeah.
Obviously, they have another guy, Spiller. He's more of a catching back.
Mhm.
But on the ground, I mean, 9 carries for 38 yards. That's not very good. And you could say, oh, well, this is just an anomaly. No, Texas A&M has struggled to run the ball for multiple weeks now.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep your eye on, especially their next game being Alabama. If you are going to have any chance of beating Alabama, you're going to have to establish some kind of running game. And right now, it's looking very bleak. But I do give Ben Hicks, the quarterback for Arkansas, who came in for Nick Starkel, who Starkel got hurt. He threw an interception and then tried to make a tackle and got absolutely obliterated.
Yeah.
So he was out for the game. Note to quarterbacks, it's okay. You don't have to make the tackle.
If you go through some practice, actually
Yeah.
practice tackling before you just do it in the game.
Mhm. Yeah. So he came in. He was 15 for 27, 188, 1 touchdown. Obviously, it's still not the fix for Arkansas. They're still looking for that guy who's going to take them the rest of the season. And I mean, he played well, but obviously, there's still not that guy that you look at Arkansas and you're like, okay, this is going to be the quarterback that's going to take them to maybe 3 or 4 wins.
Yeah. They haven't had that
yeah.
in a few years now.
Mm-mm.
So,
But that's one thing. Texas A&M escapes the upset. I don't think that they are the top 10 team that they were panned to be. I don't see them upsetting LSU. I don't see them upsetting Alabama. I'm not sure exactly who else is on their schedule as far as East teams go. But I do know that I don't see them taking on. I think they have to play Georgia too, don't they?
It might be.
Yes, they play. So I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Hey, maybe they'll upset Georgia. I don't think it's going to happen. So it's just one of those things. Texas A&M, they're going to have multiple losses. I don't think that they can afford to lose a game like this. You know, they're going to play South Carolina. You have Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Texas A&M can't afford to let a game go against a team that they should beat.
Right.
So that's going to be the telltale for the rest of the season for Texas A&M. They've got to. I don't think they're going to upset anybody, but they've got to beat the teams that they're obviously better than.
Right.
But the other game on the day is one that was played in North Carolina. Clemson and the Tar Heels took on a match, and Clemson escaped 21-20. We're talking about another upset here, so we're on the theme of the upsets. North Carolina was that close, obviously. Just a 2-point conversion away from taking the lead. I didn't like the play call. What did you think about this game?
I thought it was the same thing, especially the second half. It was more. If you watch the game and didn't watch the score, you think North Carolina was winning the whole game, especially the second half. I was got to see more of the second half, especially the fourth quarter of it. I just don't. It's more the fact of what I see with Clemson this year. They're just not where everyone wants them to be, and I think in some ways, I think that's okay. But it's just one of those things where they're just so excited about after last year's team success. It feels like a lot of people in their eyes are not seeing the team for what they are, which is a above average defense, a decent quarterback that's a sophomore.
Yeah.
I think an underrated back in ETN in a very crappy conference. Wait, did I say that loud?
Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
What it says ACC stands for? Always crap? No, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of teams that are in that rebuild year. That they the last year or two they've lost a lot. You know, I would say ACC has been underrated the last few years. This might be the first year I think, even with a few teams that are getting some hype, are a little overhyped this year. I think a lot of teams go through growing pains. You know, look at NC State the last couple of years, especially on defense, up till your last one, Bradley Chubb. All them. You just thought so highly of these teams that were not getting the credit they deserved. And Clemson was the kings of a very good conference. But now they're the kings of, you know, we call them toilets because they are lately. It seems like that's one of the.
I don't disagree. Lawrence ended this game 18 for 30, just over 50%. 206 passing yards, a touchdown, a rushing touchdown. ETN had 14 carries, 67 yards, and a touchdown. T. Higgins ended up being the guy who gave them the lead. He had 6 catches, 129 yards, and a touchdown. So it's one of those situations to where obviously Clemson was the better team on the field.
Yeah.
I don't think they played like it. I think North Carolina was a little too conservative late in the game.
That's
and then
vintage Mac Brown for you.
Yes, and then as soon as Clemson took that lead, all of a sudden North Carolina turns into this other team with this oomph. And so now we're going to go and score. As soon as Clemson takes the lead, we're going to go and score.
Yeah.
And then now we're going to go for a 2-point conversion. And they run like a triple option. I didn't like the way that North Carolina played in the second half on offense. Their defense played exceptionally well.
Yeah, they did.
So I give them credit.
Yep. And I'm sure there's some of you out there that think SEC, especially minded, thinking, they're so happy Clemson up right there, but they're still number 2.
Yeah.
But we may have some news on that moving forward. But a little teaser to later in the show.
Yep.
But all right, so we'll talk about that game. Any other games you want to talk about? Auburn, Mississippi State?
Auburn, Mississippi State.
What were your thoughts? I know I left a video out there for those that watched. some of my thoughts.
Yeah,
and I enjoyed it.
Auburn won that game 56-23. Obviously, Mississippi State had some late garbage scores. It was a pretty well handled game, even though the score margin was still big. I think the 23 is a misleading number for the way that the Auburn defense played. Bo Nix was 16 for 21, 335, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, he had 7 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown, leading rusher and passer for that game.
So that's a team game.
Yeah, well, no, but for that game. And that's something that Auburn obviously gave him the opportunity to say, we haven't wanted to just throw you out there. We know you're talented, but we also know you're a freshman, so we're not just going to make you have to win games for us. We have a good defense. But I'm sure Gus whispered some kind of secret incantation in his ear right before the game, and was like, "You're going to do this for us tonight, buddy." Boom, and then and then he goes out there and plays well. So I give Bo Nix a lot of credit. He came out of his shell. I do want to talk about another player who came out of his shell in 2016 against Mississippi State as a freshman. His name was Jalen Hurts. And he handedly beat Mississippi State as a freshman. Jalen Hurts was not the biggest in statistics that year, but that game, Jalen went 28 for 37, 347 yards, 4 touchdowns, 11 carries, 100 yards, 1 touchdown. He was the leading passer and the leading rusher for that game. There's some similarities there, obviously, as far as that. So making a little freshman statement against Mississippi State, Jalen's obviously had a very decent career in the NCAA. I'm not calling them the same person, but, I thought it was interesting that they both kind of have their little, had a little season game against Mississippi State. I don't want to leave this without giving Garrett Schrader a little bit of credit.
Yeah.
He came in and relieved Tommy Stevens, who got hurt early in the game. He was 12 for 23, 209, but he had 2 touchdowns later in the game. But
he had some great throws. He had some really good
and
balls.
He's a tough dude.
Yeah.
I believe he's a freshman too.
Yeah, he's a true freshman as
well.
So
it's just one of those things. If Mississippi State's going to continue their style, which is that tough quarterback, who Dak did it.
Yeah.
Nick Fitzgerald did it. This guy is the next in line for that type of job. So if Mississippi State wants to continue that, obviously this dude fits the bill 100%. Right. He's fearless. He's a little too fearless.
Yeah, the fumble was.
Yeah, that was the second time he tried to go into outer space.
Yeah.
If there's something that Mississippi State needs to take from this game, that I like Tommy Stevens. I think he's a decent quarterback, but if Mississippi State's going to continue their style, Schrader fits the bill 100%.
Right. That, and I think one thing to note too is kind of the same thing I said with Texas A&M.
Mm-hmm.
There's a point where Stevens is able to even come back. Do you stick with Schrader just because he's your best chance at your future right now? I mean, there's always recruiting. You might bring in another kid next year to take over, but as of now, the roster they have, he's the guy that's going to be the future moving forward.
Yeah.
They need to be putting him in better situations to be successful.
I don't disagree.
To build his confidence and move forward. Maybe they'll give somebody a run they shouldn't, like Alabama or something later in the year.
Maybe.
Not saying they're going to beat them. Not calling that.
Yeah, I mean
that's
it's at home. Well, it's at home, so he's got a good situation.
Yeah. At least competing better.
Yeah. There's another Mississippi quarterback who's a true freshman. Who I want to give some credit to. He's also a fearless runner. Alabama beat Ole Miss pretty handily, 59-31. J.R. Plumlee, who ended up playing that game in relief of Matt Corral, who got hurt against Cal. He went 10 for 28, 141, 2 touchdowns and an interception. His passing was not that great. However, he had 25 carries for 109 yards and a touchdown. That man was running all over the field. Essentially, Rich Rodriguez was like, okay, dude, look, we're not going to win this game, but if we are going to win this game, you're going to have to take some hits and run around like a mad dog.
Yeah.
So he did that. He ran a lot. Alabama gave up 31 points in that game, although that
31.
That was well after Alabama took control of that game. It was 45-10 in the third quarter, and then they score a little bit. Alabama obviously continues to score another 14 points. So obviously Alabama was never not in control of that game, other than muffing the punt in the first quarter. Alabama did a lot of good things. They gave up some late points. It happens. If you just picked up your phone and you were like, wow, Ole Miss put up 31 points on Alabama, like, you're cheating yourself. That's not really, I mean, obviously it happened, but you got to look at more than, you got to look at the picture here. It's like Auburn giving up 23 to Mississippi State. Auburn controlled that game and gave up some late points.
Yeah, Auburn had 40-point lead twice in that game.
I do want to highlight two players on Alabama before we leave this game because they made history. Tua Tagovailoa was 26 for 36, 418 yards and 6 touchdowns. Tua cemented himself as a star quarterback, not only just in our eyes but in the record books. He's continuing to do that. I'm sure when Tua leaves Alabama, there's not going to be a quarterback statistic, maybe other than rushing, that doesn't have Tua's name at the top of it. So he threw the most touchdowns in a single game by an Alabama quarterback. And then Devontae Smith, 11 receptions, 274 yards, 5 touchdowns. The man looked like Amari Cooper out there, something like that.
So is he winning rock paper scissors all day? Is that what
I think so. Well, when Tua, they interviewed Tua after the game, and he said something along the lines of, we just the game kind of I throw it to where the game's kind of going. It just happened. It just so happened that it just kept going to him, and so he took advantage of his opportunities. Got in the end zone 5 times. Broke records. He's above names in record books, above names like Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper, Julio Jones. I mean, that's big stuff. So for a guy who's looked at as the 3rd best wide receiver on Alabama, he definitely went out there and played better than some Alabama legends have. So, I'm not calling Devontae Smith this superstar, but he looked like a superstar, and I want to give him credit because he's been overlooked a lot in his career, except for catching a touchdown pass in overtime in the national championship game as a true freshman. He did do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's nice.
He did do that.
But what wasn't nice, I think we should end the note on just Mississippi State fans, Mississippi State, Mississippi Ole Miss.
Ooh.
We just want to apologize for the heartache you had to go through this Saturday by our team.
Yeah.
109 to 55 combined.
Yeah, we hate.
We hate for you as a fan that you had to go through that.
Yeah.
Even though
I hate that our team is so much better, or both of our teams are so much better than yours.
Better days are ahead.
Yeah.
Other sports are ahead.
Yeah. There's baseball.
Yep.
They both like baseball, don't they?
They like baseball.
Mississippi, get ready.
Ole
Baseball is coming.
I would say Ole Miss and Mississippi State last few years they like basketball, but
women's basketball.
Women's. Women's basketball. Yeah.
We'll find something for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, we will.
We might not talk about it, but it'll be there.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, we want to add a few other small notes on the weekend.
Yeah.
What was the first one you want to bring up?
I'm gonna run through a game that we kind of called Kentucky, South Carolina. Sawyer Smith way in over his head, 11 for 32, 90 yards, and 1 interception. He got smoked. Ryan Helinski was 15 for 27, 140 yards, pretty average. But Tavian Feaster came in, had 15 carries, 107 yards, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, South Carolina won that game. Kentucky is not looking like the Kentucky that almost beat Florida. However, that makes you ask, how good is Florida? But I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out. Yeah. And then Vanderbilt gets their first win against Northern Illinois, 18-24. Congrats, you are officially not winless.
Yay!
Yeah. Oof. They are.
Thank you for bringing up our GPAs.
Yes. Yeah. You do good things.
Yeah.
They're also good at baseball. So
yeah.
You and Ole Miss and Mississippi State, you join the club.
Yeah.
So Florida State, NC State. Florida State has a win streak.
Whoa!
This is crazy.
Yes.
Woo! But Alex Hornibrook, where'd this dude come from?
Wisconsin.
29 for 40, 316 and 3 touchdowns. Cam Akers, 17 carries, 83 yards, 1 touchdown. I'm telling you, man, if you took away their first 2 games.
Yeah.
And started the season on obviously. Well, actually, I'm sorry. They lost to Virginia too, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, again, but that was a top 25. If you took away Boise State and
Stanford?
No, it was Louisiana Monroe.
Yeah. Louisiana.
If you took away those 2 games, I genuinely think I could look at Florida State as maybe like a low end top 25 team. I know.
Just maybe just flirting.
Maybe flirting with it, yeah. and I'm not calling Florida State like really really good, no. But you look at them and like they've been performing well on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball. They're doing their thing. Obviously, NC State is not the best team in the ACC, but Florida State is emerging as a possible contender to give Clemson a little bit of a reckoning. Do you think?
No, I don't think that.
Oh.
Because I see where you're going, and I really like that. They have a bye this week, so does Clemson. So they both have a week off. I see that as going into Tallahassee. Mm-hmm. Florida State's going to beat Clemson.
Really?
I'm calling it right now. We're talking about Hornibrook and all, but this is my thing.
Here's
one of the few teams that I think
first, before you.
If it's gonna happen, if Clemson's gonna lose a game,
is Florida State actually gonna sell out the stadium? Because I feel like that's their first win.
Yeah, that would be a huge starter. Everyone's gonna go to see Clemson.
Yeah,
and then they're gonna leave with the happy that they won. Yeah, go to that game, Florida State. Show up, support your team. This is your chance.
The chop is on. Man, I'm rooting for it, and I want to say that I'm not just rooting for FSU because I'm salty about Clemson beating Alabama. Obviously,
it'd be good for the sport.
That's what happens anytime an Alabama fan says, "Oh, I don't want Clemson to win." I just look at Clemson right now. They have an easy schedule. I don't think we're seeing who. I mean, we kind of saw who they really are against North Carolina, if I'm being honest. And man, it would just be so great for the morale of Florida State too. They've been down for 2 years, and then finally. I mean, this is not the Florida State I'm used to. Florida State, for most of my life, has been a good team.
Like, annoyingly good. You don't
they're good. Yeah. And then now it's like these last 2 years, it's like, what has happened? And so, man, a win against Clemson at home, that would turn things around.
See,
I'm rooting for them because I want to see Florida State pull this off more than I want to see Clemson lose.
Yeah, I would love it for a lot of people I know too. If Clemson is going to lose a game, this is the game that we'll lose because it's coming off a bye. Florida State's they've got momentum going into the bye, but I think they're one of the few teams in conference that I really don't think South Carolina is going to be able to give them much. By the time South Carolina gets to that game, unless they're having a good year, they're just dog tired. You can tell they're not the same team they were.
I agree.
Because of just how daunting their schedule always is.
Yeah.
But the reason why I think this is the game, is because Florida State is probably the only offense that could keep pace with them and score enough points to beat them on their schedule. So that's the big thing. You talked about Hornibrook.
Yeah.
Akers is, like we talk about, much as I don't like Florida State, Akers is one of the best backs in the country. I would put him just behind Jonathan Taylor as one of the top two in the country.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah, this is a team built to beat this Clemson team. And
I mean, they're firing. Yeah. They're firing. When we look at Clemson, I mean, you're right. This is the team that can do it because Clemson is currently looking. I don't want to give you any hints, but Clemson's currently looking at only one top 25 matchup for the rest of their regular season. Can you guess what team that is?
South Carolina or Virginia?
No. Wake Forest.
Wake? Oh yeah, I forgot Wake's ranked.
Wake Forest.
Wake's ranked.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So that's currently the only top 25 matchup they have left on their schedule, and it's a very lengthy schedule, obviously. So they don't play Virginia, they don't play Duke, who I think are the two better teams in the other division. If Florida State doesn't beat Clemson, I do look for an interesting matchup in Charlotte come the ACC championship game. I think you'll see either, in my opinion, I think you'll either see Virginia or Duke there. I don't think North Carolina's going to get there. I think when and I'm just being honest.
Their offense picked up. Their defense.
I'm not trying to boost Alabama's strength of schedule here, but I think Duke is a decent team. The way that they competed with Alabama for a half spoke a lot to me. They obviously, at that time specifically, were not one of the best teams in the nation at all. However, they have some good competition and they have some drive. And so I like Duke. I think as Cutcliffe works with the quarterback more, they're going to have a better offense. I think you could see Duke in the ACC championship game, and maybe, just maybe, they pull off a Clemson upset too. I don't know. I think there's not a lot of options here if we're going to call a Clemson upset.
I know. This is probably the best likely one. But with that, that's what I was saying. There's hope for people that don't like Clemson.
Yeah.
If Clemson loses that game, even if they run the table ACC championship, do they get in the top 4 with one loss?
With a loss?
To Florida State on the road. See, it would be hard to me. Of course, the scenario
to me, to me, it depends. Okay, because you're looking at a Florida State team who they only have one conference loss right now.
Yeah.
So Florida State.
What they do moving forward?
Florida State would have to, in my opinion, beat Clemson, finish the rest of their conference season undefeated. They could go to the ACC championship, and I think Clemson is left out completely.
Yeah.
If Clemson drops this game, one of these ACC teams run the table, especially Virginia, for example. If one of these ACC teams run the table in the other conference, you're looking at a possible, I think they'll make sure that it's a top 25 matchup. So it's one of those situations, I think it's possible depending on who the other teams are. You're looking at a situation like the Big Ten has been treated as the last couple of years. If Clemson drops a game and you have an undefeated SEC team, an undefeated Big Ten team, an undefeated Big 12 team like Oklahoma, if you have those three, and then you have to choose between a one-loss SEC team or a one-loss Clemson team, I think they'll choose the one-loss SEC team.
That'll be interesting though. There'll be a big argument about that one because they're defending champs.
It puts you in a weird position because now you're also looking at Notre Dame, who, if they run the table, their only loss would be to Georgia, who I mean I don't know what that, but at the time that's a top 10 matchup.
We could talk crazy scenarios.
Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Because that SEC champ could easily be an undefeated Florida. Then what do you do?
We'll have a
whole
show.
What do you do with undefeated Florida? Because that means they beat Florida State.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Like we will have probably a show dedicated to just going through multiple scenarios as far as the playoffs go. I will say, I don't think that if Florida State were to run completely go undefeated the rest of the season, I don't think that they get into the playoffs. Yeah. But it's hard to say because you beat Clemson, you run. I don't know. Do you think a 2-loss or what is Florida State have 2 or 3 losses?
Maybe they have 2.
Do you think a 2-loss FSU team, if they beat Clemson, could get into the playoffs?
It comes down to.
Oh man, okay, we could go all night. Okay, yeah. So coming up, there's a lot of teams on bye week. This is a big bye week in college football. I'm gonna run through these games. I'm gonna give you the spread. Some of them we're probably just gonna say if we think that the team can beat the spread, not actually win. Yep. So the first one up, I'm gonna get your quick take. LSU, Utah State. LSU, LSU, there's a
this is their
28 point.
For the Gators, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you think? Yeah. I agree. You're looking at. Do you think that Utah State can cover 28 points against LSU?
That was just really hard though, but I don't think so. Only because, like I said, they either have a bye next week before the Florida game, or they play Florida next week. Because I know Florida's got Auburn and then LSU right after that.
Yeah,
they're hitting their tough part of their schedule. Regardless, this is the last game before they play the Gators. This will be their dress rehearsal, and I think they're going to be. Yeah, they're going to try to flex out.
This is definitely not.
But 28 still
LSU just had their bye week last week, so their next bye week is probably not going to come until right before the Alabama game. I'm gonna say that Utah State covers the spread. Man, look, and it's not because I don't like LSU or something like that. I like Utah State. Gerald Bright plays there. He played at Escambia. I'm going to be rooting for Utah State to cover the spread in this game. So I'm going to give them a cover. All right. So here's the big one: Auburn, Florida, top 10 matchup. Auburn spread of 3 points. They're projecting Auburn. They gave them 3 points. What do you think?
Just quick. When I see the two teams, if they're neutral site, I think Auburn's about a 10 to 14 point favorite. So the favorite team is how I would put them. Right, how they're playing right now. There's a lot of unknowns. Florida's getting some of their players back. The corner they're getting back. Yeah, it could be interesting. Being at the Swamp, I want to say we're gonna win the game. I like us winning by a score. I think we'll win by a touchdown. But I think it'll be a little bit. It might be one of those crazy chances to get there, but
I don't. It's one of those things. I think Auburn could pull away in this game. I have Auburn winning this game. I can't decisively say whether I think it's going to be handedly or not.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a close game, and
I don't know. And I think Auburn wins though because Florida is not as good as Auburn. Like, take away rankings. Like, just take away rankings for a second. Florida just isn't as good as Auburn.
My hesitance is it's at the Swamp.
Yeah, if this was I don't disagree.
If this was
I've seen Florida beat teams that they shouldn't at home.
Yeah.
So it's one of those situations. I've seen them upset LSU multiple times in the Swamp. So it's a situation where. Obviously, home is going to change some things, but I think Auburn wins this game. Auburn has been beating teams that they should, and they should beat Florida. So we'll see what happens, but my opinion is that they should beat Florida.
Yeah, I definitely we're the better team, I know, but the Swamp and all. One little fun note. One of the last 2 times Auburn has gone into the Swamp.
Yeah.
A few years ago, West Byram, crazy game. Florida was ranked number 1, kicked the field goal to win the game, all that. Yeah. 2001, field goal to win the game, which is Florida. But a young quarterback by the name of Patrick Nix went to the swamp and slayed the #1 Gators.
Yeah.
I think it was 87, something like that. Yeah. So, there's pedigree in there.
Yeah, there is.
There's pedigree to do it. So.
All right, so I'm going to jump. Troy, Mizzou. Do you think?
Go Trojans!
So there's a 25-point spread, obviously in favor of
Troy's
Missouri.
winning it all.
I would love that.
Yeah.
But so, do you think Troy covers the spread?
I think they'll cover the spread because that's Mizzou is just so up and down.
Yeah,
I think
they did lose.
They'll cover
to
that
Wyoming.
big of a spread.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that they cover the spread. I think Missouri goes out there and gives them. But didn't Troy just recently beat LSU or something?
Yeah,
I think that happened.
So, yeah.
Didn't they almost beat Clemson too? Man,
Yeah.
I don't trust
They
Troy.
should have beat Nebraska.
Yeah, if I'm betting, I don't trust Troy. But just me like throwing out words like, I think Mizzou covers the spread. All right, UGA, Tennessee. There's a 24.5-point spread in favor of Georgia. Do you think that Tennessee somehow covers the spread in this game?
No. Tennessee's they need some work. There's something wrong there.
Well, here's it's a home game for Tennessee. It's in Knoxville.
I mean, has that helped them earlier in the year?
No, but I mean, come on, you know, you're looking.
It's a rivalry, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee. It's one of those situations where I think Tennessee could come to play. I think that they give Georgia a game for most of
the first quarter.
I think they give them a good game for most of the game. I think after halftime, Georgia's going to pull away. I think 24.5. I don't think Georgia covers the spread, but that's not me saying this is going to be like a 7-point game. I think Georgia might win by 24 points. I think 25.5 right now.
27-3 is 24 points.
Yeah.
So.
So Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, 7-point spread in favor of the Rebels. Landshark, Bears, Stings.
2 in a row. No, I think Ole Miss will get this one. This will be a good opportunity for Plumlee to set his feet. And
I agree. If he keeps running around, they'll win.
Yeah, but just don't throw it.
Yeah. I'm gonna take Ole Miss in this one. All right, next game. So we have another top 25 matchup. Iowa, Michigan. Michigan's favored in this game by 3.5 points.
I'm gonna take the Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
Michigan's trash.
But
Iowa's that team that, like, when you think they're gonna take care of business, they
you would think they don't. And so I'm gonna take Michigan in this game. I think that it's going to be a close game, but I'm gonna take Michigan in this game.
Yeah. That is one of those matchups where if you have the option to be given points, you take points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Michigan State, Ohio State. There's a 20-point spread. Ohio State. I don't think that I'm sorry, I spoke wrong. I don't think Michigan State wins.
No. I think it's closer to that, though.
Do you think that they cover the spread?
Ohio State doesn't cover the spread. I think they'll win by like 10.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's 10.
Ohio
State wins.
I mean,
I like Michigan State's defense.
That's a bold prediction because I mean Ohio State. Although I don't think that the Ohio State-Nebraska game. Here's what.
There's a reason Justin Fields is up there.
Here's what ticks me off about Ohio State, and I'm gonna try and be as unbiased about this as possible.
Like, was it
Ohio State has beaten nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. Like nobody. Like
I don't understand why they're at the Nebraska game.
No, like but ESPN goes to College Game Day, tries to make Nebraska out to be this really good team, and tries to make this game out to be this big thing, so that when Ohio State goes out there and completely blows them out like everybody knew was going to happen, we go, Ohio State's the best team in the country. Oh my God.
There was at least 5 games better last week they could have won.
Obviously.
They got the chance to have Gabriel Union and D Wade there. I mean best chance.
That's just what annoys me about this a little bit, because they try and make they intentionally made this game out to be something huge, and then as soon as Ohio State just decimates Nebraska, this is like, oh my God, Ohio State is like this really good team. Like,
I hate it when ESPN gets real political about stuff too, because look at what's going on in college football right now as well.
Yeah.
Right around the same time, it's funny, they have D-Wade there, who is one of his best friends, that they happen to show his little snap or whatever to watching game day. LeBron James. What is LeBron James currently doing? Trying to destroy the NCAA from the inside with the whole legal stuff in California. I just find it interesting that all that hit Monday right after all that. Yeah. And now they're talking about all that, which whether players should be paid, that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, that's a whole show.
But I find it funny how the timing of that too steps into play too. But there was at least 5 games last week. I would even say Auburn Mississippi State should have been the game over that one. At least Mississippi State, you could make an argument, is better than Nebraska matchup.
Maybe.
But you know what I'm saying? Like there's stretch. Auburn Mississippi State was a stretch one. But there's several games that last week. Was it Washington with USC?
Yeah.
So there were some big Pac-12 games.
This is one of those things. Like I get Ohio. I don't think Ohio State is a bad team at all. I think they are one of the top teams in the nation. However, you could see where this was headed. That ESPN's trying to. There were top 25 matchups, but ESPN follows Ohio State like they always do.
Because of Herbie.
And sure enough, this is going to be a huge test and challenge, and then Ohio State pulls it out.
Let's make sure to bring out the cancer page to the pregame too. That was bad. See, I kind of felt bad. I like they take the opportunity to highlight that, but at the same time, it was almost like they were trying to repeat Purdue last year at the same time. Like they're going to win either way.
Yeah, I mean,
do it for this cancer kid. Yay, they beat them or no. Okay, just, whoa, it's amazing.
Yeah.
They get either storyline they want. It's a win-win for ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN, they love to get those kind of stories, and they're good stories, but it just, you can see when they're trying to.
Hard.
Yeah, they're trying really hard.
All right, so any other games you want to talk about this week?
No, I mean, everybody's on bye.
Yeah. And everyone else goes on bye after this week. Just about.
Yeah, just about. So it's going to be a good week of football. We have a couple top. Well, actually, I don't know if we have a couple top 10 matchups. We have multiple top 25 matchups. We'll see how that all plays out. I don't see the rankings in the top 10 getting shaken up too much this week. Although I do want to get your thoughts right before we go on Clemson moving down in the rankings.
I think it was as advertised. It's what you expect.
Yeah.
Because right now it's the voters and they're going to overreact. Everyone overreacts over everything. And me saying they're going to lose to Florida State wasn't an overreaction. It was we've now gone through week 5 and you know who teams are now.
Yeah.
There's no more of there's been a few weeks there, I'm going to give them a little bit of the doubt still early in the year.
Yeah.
We've got enough game footage to be able to say, all right, this team is what it is. And I think that's fair to put them at second right now. I mean, it's a hit or miss with all the top 5. I mean, we were talking pre-show. If I was to do my top 4 right now, I'm one that I go by what you've done. So I would have Auburn number 1, and it's not me it's because we played Oregon, we played some other teams that we went to Texas A&M. Whether how those look moving forward, we'll see.
And obviously
going into Swamp will help us. We've got plenty of opportunities to add to it the resume. But right now, I would Oklahoma in there. I'd probably have LSU just because of the Texas game.
Yeah.
And then I would say maybe Ohio State might be in there only because it's to have multiple conferences in there right now, and not have a 13. But I'd have Bama right outside, and then I probably would.
I would disagree with that because I mean Alabama, whoever is in the SEC.
I agree. Duke is looking better than it did at the beginning of the year.
But whoever is in the SEC, however this all ends up. they
just win your games.
There's not going to be a question of your resume at the end of the season when this all is said and done.
Mm-hmm.
So wherever we are right now it's not really a moot point. But as far as rankings go, I mean, we're all going to play each other, really, and we're going to find out where we are.
As Auburn feels, keep disrespecting us. Disrespect us all the way till Iron Bowl. I'd be happy to be told, to our team being told we're at home, we're gonna lose by like 20 or something. I want an undefeated Auburn team going into the Iron Bowl. Tell us that, please. I want the guys to see that. Let them have that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Because you see the motivation.
The aspect of an undefeated Alabama and an undefeated Auburn in the Iron Bowl
would be special.
Would be crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't think it's going to happen, but
there's definitely tests for both teams.
Yeah, I don't know how this is all going to end, but I do know that there are multiple scenarios with the strength of the SEC that, sorry to disappoint everybody, there's a good chance you see 2 SEC teams in the playoffs again.
What if the Iron Bowl ends, the Iron Bowl winner wins the SEC championship, and there's 3 1-loss West teams? What do you do then, Nation?
Oh, I'm 100%. If Alabama and Auburn are undefeated, really the only thing you're playing for here is bragging rights and the ability to play in Atlanta. Because if they're both undefeated,
we both know that's enough, though.
Yeah, if they're both
we
undefeated,
have a show purposed on it.
And in my opinion, I look. This is one of those situations to where you look back at Alabama, Auburn, just 2 years ago, and I think we could probably wrap up right after this. But you look at Alabama, Auburn 2 years ago. They play. Auburn wins, and Alabama still ends up going to the playoffs in front of Auburn. And the reason that this happens is because Auburn has to go to Atlanta and play another game.
A good game against a good Georgia team.
Yes, so it makes you wonder that if say this is a scenario, Alabama and Auburn, 2 undefeated teams, play in the Iron Bowl. Georgia's already won the East. Maybe they have 1 loss, maybe they're undefeated. Would it be better to lose that game? Because obviously Georgia would have a loss if we were both undefeated. Yeah. So this would be almost the exact same situation.
They'd have to lose to us.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So you're looking at a situation where would it be more beneficial? Of course, you don't want to lose to that team. Yeah. Would it be more beneficial as far as the playoffs go if you were to lose in the Iron Bowl and not have to go play Georgia in Atlanta?
Okay. Crazier stat.
Yeah.
Go at the end of the Iron Bowl. Mm-hmm. There's an undefeated team, champ.
Yeah.
1 loss, loser Iron Bowl. Mm-hmm. 1 loss LSU. 1 loss Georgia wins the SEC title. There's 4 teams with 1 or less losses in the SEC.
Well, that can't happen because LSU has to play Alabama and Auburn. So if we're talking about an undefeated Alabama and Auburn, LSU would have 2 losses. So I'm
the scenario if there's 1 loss for all 3 of those West
but that's the thing. If Alabama and both Auburn are undefeated, everybody else has multiple losses. So we're looking at a situation where you're looking at 2 teams to where do you think, and just as a simple answer, do you think it would be better to lose in the Iron Bowl? And meet each other in the playoffs again, or not? Because if Georgia beats you in the SEC championship, then you probably don't go.
Based on that year,
I
think it's so hard though, because especially that year, if Auburn didn't go to the SEC championship, they wouldn't have had Kerryon would have had time to get healthy. They might have won a national title. Because Kerryon getting hurt late in the Iron Bowl cost that team their chance.
But at the same time, though, at the same time,
there's that side of it too.
We'll consider this, okay?
Yeah.
So say Auburn plays Alabama, Iron Bowl. They're both undefeated. Auburn wins and goes to play Georgia in the SEC championship, who would have one loss most likely against Auburn.
We should have a gentleman's agreement every year that happens. The home team gets one. That way the home team's
Yeah,
happy.
but I'm just saying, like, think about, like, if Georgia then wins that game again, but this time Auburn is undefeated, so then they would only have one loss. Do you think that they get in over Alabama? So you have Georgia and Auburn in the playoffs?
I think that in that case they would, because they look at the head-to-head.
But if Auburn won, do you think Alabama gets in over Georgia? Because Georgia would have 2 losses.
I think some of it would have to do with, they would give them the salt or grain of salt, considering the fact Georgia lost to the same team. Do we know how those games went?
Yeah.
If we had 2 miracles, Jordan Hare
we
had a miracle tip.
We will. I hope
closer
that we can promise that we will have a show just about the playoffs, because we could talk about this all night, because there's so many scenarios that you could talk about. But that one just came to me. That one just randomly came to me, so I wanted to talk about that, because I mean, it's very possible that you're looking at 2 undefeated teams meeting each other in the Iron Bowl, and then you say, would you rather lose that game, take the risk of take that risk, and then you're looking at not having to face an extra game in Atlanta, and then you both get into the playoffs. So I mean, you're looking at a situation that I don't think in any circumstance you want to lose a game, but you look at what would be more favorable. So I don't know. I don't really know.
Isn't like the beginning of August really fun?
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun. I'm excited. We have a long season ahead of us.
We'll think of some cool stuff to do, getting closer to it. But all right, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. I'm Jonathan. This is Isaac. Catch y'all later. War Eagle.
Roll Tide.